So we'll go ahead and get started with our interview. So thank you everybody for joining us today. I'm Alexi, by the way. I'm from Finessed. I'm the CEO and founder, and we are so excited to be hosting this event with Sean Paine. I honestly just connected with him through social media, and I've listened to a ton of his music, have done research on his music and his sound engineering and what he does. In the background is Gucci Mane's right-hand man. So I'm stoked to have him join us today. He'll be talking a little bit about his experience in the industry, as well as providing advice to folks on how to make it in the music industry, regardless of whether you're an artist, sound engineer, producer, etc. Sean Paine has worked with Gucci Mane, Waka Flocka, Young Thug, Rae Sremmurd, Drake, Chris Carter, you name it, and has had a multi-platinum and gold records. So he's got a huge list of amazing songs that he's worked on, and he's a rapper, a talented rapper himself. So hopefully you all have prepared some good questions for him. Rasmeek will be leading the interview itself, but thank you, Sean, so much for joining us. We're really excited to have you.
No problem.
All right, Russ, I'm gonna pass it over to you.
Let's do it. Yeah, what's going on, Sean? Yeah, good to have you. But yeah, my first question really was kind of, you want to talk a little bit about like kind of where you're from and like some of the music that you listened to growing up and how you just got into music in general?
Well, I'm from Texas, but I grew up in Michigan.
Okay.
And shoot, the first CD I ever bought was Reasonable Doubt, Jay-Z.
Mm-hmm.
And I really never listened to South rappers like that. You know what I'm saying? I was more like New York rappers, Nas and stuff like that. But I guess shit, when I came to Atlanta for college at Morehouse, I went to Morehouse for finance and economics. So when I got down here, it was tons of South. You know, I was embodied with all the music down here. But before anything started, I used to kind of just record in my basement, have all the neighborhood people come through and stuff like that.
So,
and I abandoned the music shit for a while. And I went to college, and then my brother was like, you should get back in it. And his friend was named Corey Anders. He had went to Morehouse as well, but that was Gucci's engineer at the time. He was like, yeah, he had PatchWerk, man. You need to go to Full Sail and go to school, and then maybe you can start working, intern at PatchWerk, da-da-da-da-da. So I ended up doing that. And as I graduated PatchWerk, I kept in touch with Corey, but I gave him a call like, hey, man, I'm done. I'm on my way back to Michigan. What's up? He like, hold tight. Stay in Atlanta. Like, just get a hotel or something for like a couple of days. Like, just let me try to work something out. So I got a hotel for the week, and boom. He like, I did a little interview and stuff. And he like, yeah, you can work here and stuff. But the problem was, it was an intern, so there ain't no money. You know what I'm saying? So from there, I started just working my move. I went to, I started interning at PatchWerk, and Akon Studio was up the street. So to occupy all my time, after interning there, I would intern there at Akon Studio. And then after that, I worked at like the Marriott doing audio visual work. So I just kind of just stayed active working for the most part, but I just basically tried to stay in people's face engineering wise. So like at Akon spot, I was actually engineering. I was recording Sorry the Kid and K-Count for like months and stuff. And then basically I learned how to do it good enough to the point when it was my time to step up to the plate at PatchWerk. I did it seamless. And after that, he requested me ever since then. So kind of like, I don't know, I worked my way in, but I was prepared, I would say.
Cool. Did you always know you wanted to like engineer, or was it something that kind of just happened just because you were into music?
I used to rap and make beats, and Corey used to mix my songs. So, no, it was just something I was doing. It was like a hobby. So it wasn't nothing I took totally serious until I went to school for it. And I'm like, all right, well, I got to pay my loans, but I got to make some money off of it now. So,
yeah. How was that experience? How was the experience at Full Sail and stuff, and like going like the formal kind of school route to learn engineering as opposed to just kind of like winging it, how a lot of people be doing, like just through YouTube and stuff like that?
It's better to do YouTube, to be honest, because you learn way more just hands-on. But at Full Sail, I learned a lot about other aspects of audio, like surround sound, Foley, like doing stuff for movies.
That's dope.
Definitely learn signal flow. You just kind of learn the basics. You don't actually learn. You know, you're not in a session with too many artists actually working sessions and stuff.
Okay.
But if I could have redid it now, I would have just interned at another studio in Orlando while I was at full. So I wasn't thinking. So I would have did that. I would have did that.
And just got some real world experience while you were kind of in school.
Yeah, I mean, because at the end of the day, you don't even need to actually go to school to be that guy. Like my friend is Tilly. He does all the Migos records. He did all of Lil Baby stuff, but he straight up he learned, he taught himself, you know.
Yeah.
Go in a Pensado and just, you know, YouTube searching and doing what you do, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's how I kind of did it. I'm just kind of learning through YouTube and just experience, shadowing some engineers here and there. I feel like I got some holes in like my knowledge sometimes, but really like, I don't know. If you really want to learn something, I feel like you could just learn it if you're really passionate.
I mean, at this point, yeah. Basically, with YouTube and the internet, yeah, definitely.
So are you still like producing kind of just as much as you're engineering, or how did producing come about and like rapping too? Like how did you like balance all those? Are you focused on one? I mean, engineering.
I mean, for the most part, I just engineer now. And I'm working with this new artist named King Quavo. So I'm kind of just helping him develop his sound is really my focus on that end. It's kind of like my first venture. I, you know, took up on a management position, you know, on somebody's project and stuff like that. So I'm like putting all my eggs in that basket right now, honestly.
So you're talking about like PatchWerk and you were interning and there's not really like much money in it. How did you go from kind of just interning? Like how did you start, or when was the point that you started kind of making a living comfortably off of like music to the point where you weren't like just, I don't know, just having to worry about money too much?
I mean, honestly, it was until recently, because it was always a struggle, because it was like, okay, because I mean, I was really grinding. It was to the point where I was sleeping in my car. I go from working with P. Diddy to going to sleeping in my car. Nobody knew, you know what I'm saying? But I was grinding like 18 hours every day, like, and you're not getting money. You're not getting paid. So you're getting paid to do store runs and stuff like that. And if you do happen to assist the session, then they'll pay for that. But you got to wait on that check. Like Uber and Lyft wasn't around then. I would have just been jugging, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
in the meantime or something. Like a lot of guys now, a lot of the guys, the interns now, that's what they do. Like they got jobs, they got other stuff going on. But with me not having a job, I kind of put myself in a better position because I was always at the studio from open to close. Like I'm there. So anybody, I was always the guy to go to. Although it was other people there ahead of me, I mean, they knew I was reliable. But you kind of got to be in the right place at the right time. So basically, shoot, when Gucci got out of jail, I was there. And I wasn't doing nothing but running errands and stuff for him. But it came a time during a little bit before All-Star Weekend, Gucci would just pull up and, you know, he would ask for engineers. And I guess everybody was busy. So it was other interns that were there ahead of me that would actually get that session if, you know, he asked. So he asked, like, is there any intern or anybody that can record or whatever? And the guy, and I just so happened to be walking through the hallway. And the guy, Nick, you know, a lot of people were scared of Gucci, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, nah. And I'm like, shit, give it to me. You know, because I've been a guy in the room with him the whole time anyway, under Corey. So they gave it to me and I worked it. And then after that, he like, yeah, you did good. Da, 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 da. The next day he requested me. And then he kept requesting me. And so it got to the point now where they just was calling. I'm on call. They like Gucci pulling up and I'm on my way. Boom.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So yeah, and I got a little room for rent, right, like 20 steps away from the studio, just so I know I'm there, you know. And then from there, he pulled up one day with like, and they called me. It was the same thing, but it wasn't the same thing as I thought it was. He was like, I really ain't getting no session today. I don't bought my own studio. I need you to come over there with me. I'm like, for real?
Crazy.
He like, come on, let's go. I'm like I just can't walk out with you. I work here, like. So I'm like, man, just let me walk around the corner, meet me at McDonald's or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is crazy. Yeah. So I ended up going over there. When I go over there, it was like, from the ground up, it damn sure wasn't patchwork. It was some hood stuff. You know what I'm saying? But that's how I got in close and work. I was going on the road with him a lot at the time, but that's how I kind of, it was a live-in situation. Like I lived at the studio, and so did he. It was, you know what I'm saying? We just worked 24 hours. I worked with him. When he done recording, I'd be in there with Thug, you know, and then the Thug done recording, Pee Wee pull up, Scooter pull up, Dolph pull up,
Crazy.
Birdman, like everybody would pull up. So, and then that's when Keisha, the engineer, Keisha, the Uzi's engineer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So she was studied on. She came up under me, so I taught her a little this and that, and then so I'd be knocked out, she'd be recording Thug, you know, and then I wake up, she tired. It was just a continuous cycle of just recording. The Migos, that's when we met the Migos, and they pulled up, and we did a lot of songs with them. But basically, it was kind of like, I remember Corey always said, whatever you do, stay with the artist. So when they said that, because I guess Leslie Brathwaite told him that.
Yeah.
So instead of staying at the studio, I went, you know, Gucci said he had an opportunity for me. I took it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if the chemistry's there.
So, but unfortunately, it didn't flourish to where it's supposed to be, because 4 months in, he got locked up.
Got locked, yeah.
So it's, damn, I'm back at square one. But he paid me every month to mix all those songs. So I ended up mixing like 30 albums. At first, I was just a recording engineer for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I mixed a couple songs, like The Truth This, when he did Jeezy, I did that. A couple of other songs like Bustin' Jugs, some stuff that right after the Trap God era. Okay. So I had mixed songs that actually hit the radio and shit. So he was like, you good enough to mix it, like just mix it. So I started mixing. And then shit, when he got locked up, everything just kind of, I had to figure it out, because it went from that to now I'm running his socials to, you know, I'm running all the social media stuff. I'm reaching out to all the blogs. I'm doing everything now. So now I'm learning the back end part of it too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gaining relationships with blogs and Double XL and different media people. So it kind of, I mean, it was a bad thing because I wasn't able to work with him directly, but I mean, I kind of had more of a control over things. So like features and stuff, I'll reach out to people that he wouldn't even do songs with. No, I was figuring it out, man.
Yeah, because he was still putting out a lot of music, like consistently during that like 2-year period.
Yeah,
like
had like 2 hard drives full of stuff. So it was like, you know what I'm saying?
Crazy. So how was it like communicating with him like while he was locked during that time? Like
Encore links, he would DM me or whatever on his, you know, on the prison thing, and we would communicate. And he'd say, man, let's do this, let's name it this. Hey man, grab all the Thug songs, name it that. This and this and that. So I get to searching for stuff and finding stuff and putting it all together and stuff. And then basically just kept doing the same process. A couple of them shits went #1 too. That was the crazy part. But
crazy. How much discretion did you have? Were you just like, was he kind of like letting you pick a couple records or letting you keep or pick some stuff, or he knew every little detail of like everything?
Oh no, I picked them. I picked it all. I would let him hear them. Like at first we could talk.
Yeah.
So he would hear the songs. He'd be like, all right, that's cool. No, don't put that one. Put that one. All right. Then he'll come with the track, you know, the order. And then after a while, he just let me start doing it.
So.
And then he couldn't hear what was coming out. So he would like have other people say stuff. So he would always comment back to me like, damn, I heard you went crazy, man. And this and that. But it is what it is, basically, on that end.
Dope. And kind of going back to like the whole like how did you start making a living kind of thing. It's been like a debate in the engineering kind of world recently, like should engineers kind of get percentage of records because they play such a big part.
Hell yeah, we should.
Life. Yeah. I think the same thing. It should be more than just kind of a one-time payment, like a contracted job. Like they really are they make the record come to life. Like, what do you think about that? And you want to just talk on that, your experience in the industry with like,
I mean, mixed the record. Yeah, I mean, for what I was doing, I was actually constructing records. So I definitely should have got points on that.
You're producing, yeah.
Yeah, I was doing some other shit. So yeah, but when you mixing big records, yeah, you should definitely get points on that. Now, if you just recorded a verse or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But if you mixed it, a lot of mix engineers actually do get points on records though.
Okay. Yeah, because like you're picking the reverb, you're kind of putting the whole song in a certain space. It's a lot of like little things that come from like just the engineer. But yeah, cool. But yeah, how is it like in the industry in general dealing with like managers, executives, label people, like as an engineer, like are you getting like paid promptly? Is there always issues with like
I mean, it's way better dealing
that?
with the label. The
Yeah.
label gonna pay you top dollar.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I like working with indie artists too because less of a hassle dealing with indie people than industry people sometimes because it's a lot with the industry people sometimes. But it was cool though. Like a lot of the industry execs, actually, they cool. Everybody's just a regular person at the end of the day.
Yeah.
In a position that they worked for or whatever. So, it wasn't. I can only actually speak on the people I was intertwined with as well, but they are was cool. I don't have any negative outlooks and nothing like that on industry people at all, to be honest.
Cool. Because yeah, there's always like just a negative kind of connotation to like label people and stuff like that when it comes to like non-artists, you know what I'm saying, people involved.
But I will say that it's a business. It ain't no friendship. So I mean,
Sure.
I don't care how cool everything is. Don't get it twisted. It's still a business.
For sure. For sure. Let's see. I mean, you engineered some big records like Black Beatles, like Back on Road. Like those were humongous records. Like how was it working on those records? Did you know like from jump they were gonna be crazy? I mean, I'm sure the Drake one you already knew was gonna be.
I mean, the Drake actually 40 did Drake's record roll. I recorded it, but all Drake's records are
40, right? And his team.
Yeah, it's like it's a thing. It's like with Khaled, like you got to send Khaled his shit, and that's how it goes. Like you're not gonna with Drake too. It's definitely like that with Drake. It's like, look, it go this way, and then it's like, okay, and then who else is like that? Bruno Mars is like that too.
They
Bruno
won't
Mars sending you records back.
Touch the vocals.
I mean, you do what you record it, but they definitely having the last say so on the Bruno Mars record. Like you even call like, hey, change this little part and say this, like, and then you like, and Gucci like, he doing it because it's it's Bruno shit.
Yeah.
Like you got but I will say with the Black Beatles record, that might not have had transpired if it wasn't for me. Low key, it might have though, but Mike Will had pulled up and he had 2 records. Actually, Gucci did both of the records though. But he was like, which one? Mike played me like 3 or 4 records. And I was like, man, because we had just recorded to Everybody Looking. So I kind of knew what was up, and I knew we didn't have that kind of stuff on there. I'm like, man, you need to put him on that one now. I want to say something about the DJ stuff. Like, so he did it, and then it just caught legs with that viral thing and just went crazy after that. So, I mean, I'm glad I was a part of that, honestly, because shit, that might be the biggest record I've ever worked on.
That's crazy. Yeah, that was a huge record around that time. That's crazy. Cool. Well, I think somebody had a question. What's some advice you would give to an independent artist trying to build a budget or working with like probably a smaller budget nowadays after kind of being in it and seeing them working with a bunch of artists over the past couple of years?
I mean, it depends on what they're trying to accomplish. You gotta definitely kind of do like some reverse engineering. Like, okay, I'm trying to get to this point, and then you just
work backwards.
Kind of take steps at it to get there. Yeah, but it's like definitely get your own studio. If you're trying to budget and save money, you should definitely have your own. You should be able to record yourself. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, mix a song to the best ability, and then save that as a template. And now all your other songs at least on that level. Instead of like starting fresh every template, like get you a nice recording template, a nice sound for yourself. And now you eliminated the cost of studio time. That's a big chunk right there.
Huge, yeah.
And then I would say get a couple producers that you work with, because then you can, you kind of eliminate spending money on internet beats, and you kind of actually develop it's better too because you develop your own sound with the guy, with the producers or whatever. But I would spend my money on videos and on promotion. If I had to do it, I would try to save as much money as possible on the recording process, for sure.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, because it's once you buy like a great mic and a great interface, like it really pays itself off like 10 times comparing to go to the studio spending $100 an hour, $80 an hour. Like,
Right, and it's kind of like I would even also take it to the point like what Gucci used to do. He said, "Man, when I bought clothes, I didn't buy clothes just to buy clothes. I knew I was gonna wear this in the video, and then after that, you do what you do with it. So it's like every single thing you purchase, you damn near be like, okay, bet. Like with the artists I'm working with, like sometimes we'll do that. Like, okay, bet we bought 4 pair of shoes. We know for a fact, like you use it for that purpose, and then you run off and do what you do. But kind of just all money in on it, basically, but strategically. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, for sure. Cool. I got like 1 or 2 quick questions before we open it up to everybody for the Q&A. But it's kind of like an engineering question. When you're engineering or when you started off as opposed to now, have you been entirely like in the box or are you using hardware? Like for everyone that's not an engineer, in the box kind of just means you're mixing with only like digital plugins like on your computer as opposed to using hardware equipment, like actual equipment, like in the studio. Like, do you maybe just for recording, do you use some hardware or do you for mixing or are you fully in the box with everything?
I mean, for the most part, recording, I was going M1 to a CL1B through the Neumann and then into the Pro Tools. So that would be the outboard part of it. Sometime I would send a little bit of reverb to the Arthurverb or the Eventide. I would just for like a little vocal effect. But once they opened up the plugins, it's kind of like 90% in the box. Maybe on the mastering process, I go out. But for the most part, I mean, all the records I did when Gucci was locked up was straight from the laptop. I mean, I'm on airplanes, I'm everywhere. Just straight laptop headphones for the most part. And then sometimes speakers and stuff, but for the straight inbox is what I was doing for him. But now I kind of do both, kind of like hybrid. But it's kind of, once you kind of got your sound and shit, you kind of don't need too much outboard gear because a lot of that UAD stuff is almost identical.
Yeah. And it's too convenient, I feel like, just being in the box. Like you said, you be on the plane or just in the car, mixing anywhere, as long as you got some good headphones. Like,
right, like who got time to go pull up a whole mixing session if you got to make an editor, this and that.
Exactly, yeah. Cool.
But like this one guy just sent me a record for Wiz. I just did a Gemini and Saves a Gemini and Wiz record or whatever.
Oh.
And he was out the box, but his reverb had broke or something. So he sent it to me. I mean, I did it in the box. He said it was perfect. So I mean,
that's all that matters.